Without further ado, we've got Eva Webb here today. So Eva Webb began working as the environmental educator at Fox Island Park in August of 2023 after completing her master's in environmental education at Mary Lee. I also went there. It's a great place. And so she previously worked as an interpretive naturalist at Salamone Lake for 6 years. She loves sharing her love of nature by leading hikes, working with preschoolers, leading field trips, and offering drumming programs for the public. Give Eva a warm welcome.
Thank you. So Fox Island is, 605 acre tract of land, and it has 270 acres of dedicated state nature preserve, and that protects different unique plants and animals and geologic features. On the property, there are hundreds of different plants and animals. This is outside of the Viridulin Wildlife Observation Building, and this guy was, oh my word, he was so entertaining, holding his whole body weight with his feet. Oh my goodness, that just blew my mind, so I had to take a couple of pictures of that. Yesterday I saw a snake. It wasn't this one, this was maybe last week. So, and we definitely have beavers that we've been struggling with a little bit, but I try to tell, well, I don't. So I have a perspective where, we've taken a lot of their habitat, so they're going to end up, having to find some food to eat, which is inconvenient for the property sometimes. But anyway, there are lots of beautiful plants. We have an old field lake. The lake was created, and it was a borrow pit. They scooped out the lake and used the earth from it to help build up the highway right next to it. So that's kind of fun. During the summer, you see that beach in the background. It gets filled with the public. We don't allow any watercraft that requires motors or paddles, but you can float in there if you want to and then paddle with your arms back. We have a nature center with a wetland in the back. And I like taking field trips of groups of children to do pond dipping here. And we have a geo garden. And this is the Viridulin Wildlife Observation Building, where we have a great team of feeder watch folks, many of whom are retired. And they come and they watch birds and they mark down how many they've seen. It's a really beautiful setting inside. So that's been a really enjoyable way to volunteer for them. Our property has a sand dune on it, and currently it's been off limits to the public because of a variety of reasons. First, it was because of the derecho that came through, and there was a lot of damage, mostly on the sand dune. And now they are working on an accessible trail that they hope to have finished in the next month or two, hopefully. And then we've had some Boy Scouts do some Eagle Scout projects. This one is of the wingspan of an eagle and a model of an eagle's nest. All right, so the derecho hit. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. Have any of you been to a derecho program? Oh, man. Okay, well, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But, so a derecho, what I tell people whenever I was hiking them on the sand dune before we started working on the accessible trail, is that if you imagine a rainbow, that arc shape, laid down, and just full on, full force, strong winds in those, like, spread out, it can be a very large distance, but it's different than a tornado because a tornado spins and a derecho just goes whoosh, So it can have winds. Typically there are 78 miles an hour. Derecho winds are more in line with the speed of the tornado, but they're, again, straight. So because of the derecho, and derechos have happened in the past. I wasn't alive whenever they happened, but they have been hit previously with derechos. I think there was one in the 60s or 50s or 60s.
Where?
Say it again?
Where?
I think there was a less severe derecho that hit Fox Island.
Oh.
And they happened throughout the years in different areas. But yes, we got hit really hard, and it was very confusing for people because people who lived in Waynedale, which is super close to Fox Island, and surrounding areas very close to Fox Island, they didn't believe that we had gotten so much damage because they lived so close, but they didn't get hit personally. So we had lots of people saying, "You're just closing the park," and they got really angry because they love Fox Island. But whenever a derecho happens, there are microbursts, also called downbursts, where it just, out of the bow-shaped wall of wind, extra strong bursts of wind just randomly hit different areas. And we got hit with several microbursts on the left, or west side of the trail. And in those areas, it was a lot of destruction. So we got hit and lost, all in all. So the first number that they gave us was 1,000 trees, which that's a huge number. But what they realized was trees were piled on top of each other. So the all in all number that, and this isn't even accurate because these were trees that were counted that were blocking trails. So there were a lot of trees that fell that weren't close to the trails. The trees that they cleared away were closer to 4,000. So it was very intense. And for the derecho that hit Fox Island, this is a picture of the lightning strikes during that. I think it was like, this is just 1 minute, within a minute. This is from 10:36 p.m. to 10:37 p.m. But the whole storm lasted maybe 15 minutes. And the man who lives on the property, who takes care of things, he said it sounded like a war zone out there because so many lightning and thunder strikes, the claps, the sound. So you can see where Fox Island is, and all the yellow dots, or all the yellow lightning, yeah, that represents all within a minute, all of that. So it was crazy. It happens when lighter warm air is forced up and overcooled dense air, and it can cause more thunder and lightning strikes as a result. Okay, so the devastation was worst on the west end of the dune. And if you can remember, the weather that happened the day after was extremely hot. So I wasn't working here at Fox Island yet, but the staff folks who went out was Jeff Baxter, Natalie Haley, and Mike Northcutt. So they went out and they were disoriented. They kept getting lost, and some of them struggled with overheating because of the crazy heat that happened the day after. So acres of trees laid down and piled 4 on top of each other. So here are some of the pictures of that. And this was by the lake. You can see several just into the water. And it wasn't a tornado, but even so, some of the trees were really twisted. And it was kind of fascinating. I don't know, often I see trees that are, like a tree, full and not cut up. But you can see, I thought it was so neat how whenever people are making lumber, they cut in a certain way because it's naturally in that way, the grain. So, but anyway, it was a big difficult event. And it's been really hard for people to, at first see the park in its new look. We used, I'm going to back up one. So Graber Lumber in Spencerville came and hauled trees off the trail, and we were able to compensate them by giving them trees that were still good enough for lumber. Then after they got through doing that, over 7,000 trees were planted, and they were supplied by the Indiana State Tree Nursery, and that happened in the spring of 2023, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife paid for that. So we didn't sell and get money for anything. We were just breaking even. So many people were wondering if the damage would affect the growth of wildflowers, and it hasn't. We still have grasses and flowers, and trees are, there's a seed bed underneath in the soil, and whenever a disturbance happens, or whenever the earth somehow knows that it's time to start pushing those plants up, they start reappearing again. So we've been having lots of beautiful wildflowers this spring. And a multi-decade study with the new disturbance ecology course at PFW has been started, and the students are learning how to survey plants and insects and mammals. This is a long-tailed weasel. Here's a little video. They put out a trail cam. Let's see if he comes back. I don't know. I think that's it. This spring, for field trips, we took the kids out and found salamander eggs, which was really fun. So, and there's some different critters that we found along the way. We hope to work with Blue Heron Ministries and these students from PFW on developing and implementing a management plan for restoration, for 2 restoration sites in the Fox Island Nature Preserve area. And they're hoping, we're very low staff, so it's a little tricky and it will take time. But they're hoping to create an oak savanna in one section of the back of the dune area. So that has not begun yet, but we hope to do that soon. So recently, Dr. Jordan Marshall from PFW gave a lecture, and the best news that he gave was that despite the disturbance, the salvage harvest at Fox Island may have inadvertently facilitated the recovery of arthropod diversity, bringing it more in line with the diversity observed in other undisturbed forests in the region. This supports the notion that the forest management practices may have mitigated some of the negative effects of the disturbance on arthropod populations. So, as always, more research is needed, but that's their initial understanding of what's happening. So they think we're heading in the right direction towards restoration. So then, June 22nd of last year, we reopened, and I was able to partner with the Fort Wayne Dance Collective's Taiko drumming group to tell the story about the Derecho and the damage and the storm through drumming, which was super fun. It was a powerful and creative experience that was very well received. So I got into drumming a little over 2 years ago, maybe close to 3 years ago now. A friend of mine invited me to the community drum circle at Sweetwater, and it's a free community drum circle the first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. And when I went, I was like, oh my goodness, I see so much potential for using this in teaching about nature. And so I started offering drum circles, and I didn't have any drums to begin with. I bought one drum, and then whenever I just put an ask out on Facebook and said, hey, if anybody has drums that you want to get rid of, please let me know. I'm looking for drums. And somebody messaged me and said, this Montessori school has a whole shed full of drums that aren't being used. I'm going to connect you. So I got all of these drums for free, which was amazing and such a gift. I took some drumming lessons, African drumming lessons from a man in the community named K2. And then I became a drum circle facilitator at Sweetwater after some time had passed, and I kept attending the drum circles, and I would always go to the facilitator at the end and said, I want to do what you do. Give me direction. How do I do this? And so they let me know about a training that was happening in Indianapolis, and I was able to participate in that, which was really good. So with drumming, has anybody been to a drum circle before? Raise your hand if you've done drumming before. Okay, so a lot of people think they don't have rhythm. Raise your hand if you've ever felt that way. Okay, sometimes you feel like you have two left feet, or sometimes rhythms can throw you off, but we all have rhythm, which is really neat. We're born with rhythm in our bodies. We are born listening to the rhythm of our mother's heartbeat in the womb. And we walk in rhythm, we talk in rhythm. Sometimes we just have to get in tune with it. And so don't think that you have no rhythm. You do, you just haven't tapped into it very much. Or you're just not, you haven't practiced using it very much. So what I really enjoy doing is talking about nature and using it with drumming, okay? So if you can say it, you can play it. For an example, if you can say it, you can play it, okay? Now, we're going to talk about habitat. What do you know that, what things do we need for a good habitat?
Water.
Water. What else?
Air.
Air. What else?
Sunshine.
Okay, sunshine. What about
Nutrition.
food? Okay. What else?
Shelter.
Shelter, good, and space to move around, right? So, for an example, I'm going to, let's see, how many rows are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first, we'll just do, okay, the first row, okay, can you play with me? We're just gonna have some fun, and it's okay if we look a little silly. We're gonna have some fun. So, grab your instrument. You might have a shaker. You might, if you want to tap on it just to see what it sounds like a little bit, it's okay. Experiment with it. And if you want to use the drum on the end of the tables here, please do. If you don't have an instrument, find one. Those of you in the very back, please. So, for example, I have 4 different phrases. All right, the first one is safe place to sleep. Safe place to sleep. Okay, we've got that one. The next one is clean drinking water. Clean drinking water. Clean drinking water. Okay, the next one is food to help us grow and thrive. Good. And then the fourth one, let me turn this off, sorry, is space to move. Pause. Okay, this is what I need. You all, the first row, can you just be my 1, 2, 3, 4, the bass beat, like so when we start, that's what you're gonna do. Just count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll get you started, and then I will bring each other group in by pointing. I'll say second, third, fourth, and last rows. Okay? So whatever. And now I'll assign the the phrases. So the second row, yours is going to be safe place to sleep. Safe place to sleep. And if you need to say it, do it. It's okay. You can say it. I have to do that sometimes, especially whenever there are some really fancy drummers. I'm not a fancy drummer. I've never drummed in a band, but I have a lot of friends who have been in bands and they do all the fancy. It throws me off a little bit. So sometimes I have to say the things in my head to keep me on beat. So safe place to sleep. Safe place to sleep. Okay, the third row, you're going to be clean drinking water. Clean drinking water. Okay, and then the fourth row is going to be food to help us grow and thrive. Food to help us grow and thrive. Food to help us grow and thrive. And the last two rows, you're going to be space to move. Pause. Space to move. Pause. So, we're going to start with a 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys don't stop, okay? You're going to be my helping everybody stay in beat, okay? And then I'm going to say second row, third row, fourth row, last rows, all right? And then we're gonna make a song together about habitat. And this is how I do environmental education through drumming, all right? So let's start with the bass beat. Okay, second row, ready? Stay, please, please, stay. Stay, please, please, stay. Next row, ready, and clean, clean, water. I wanted to do another really fun activity with you, okay? So drumming is actually super healthy for your minds too. Studies have been done to prove that it's good for your mind, it's good to reduce stress and anxiety, it builds community. Typically we're in a circle, so we're all looking at each other and smiling, and you feel more connected to people, and it's a really good time. So there's a game that's called I Play, You Play, and the key is just to follow me. I'll go, like, for example, and then you'll go boom, 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 okay? Now, we'll do that a little bit, and then I'm going to throw in a little rule, okay? And it makes you really have to think, okay? So, get your instruments ready, and I'm going to just copy what you hear, okay? And we'll try to all do it together, okay? If I just play one, don't play your instruments, okay? So you're gonna get into a zone because you'll be focusing on doing what I'm doing, and then all of a sudden I'll go like this, and then if you mess up, it's okay. We'll just giggle a little bit, not a big deal, okay? But the goal is to focus enough that you can also be like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to do that one, okay? So if I just feel like one, don't play. All right? So here we go. Good job. Hey, everybody mostly did really, that was awesome. Everybody's doing really great. Okay, let's do a couple more rounds and then I'll be about done. All right? Okay. Hey, good job. That was super fun. So even with fun games like this, you can incorporate environmental education and caring for the earth, because instead of, like, one example, one application is when you're outside, you need to take time to focus and learn about the environment instead of just rushing through and doing a lot of damage, sort of thing. So with drumming and different games, we have to focus, we might have to slow down, learn a little bit, and then we can know enough to proceed in a healthy way. We need to do that outside too, no matter where we are in life. It's really important to, like, pay attention, listen, have understanding before you just do something and make a big mistake or damage something. So thank you so much for playing with me and being open to that. I hope you have a lot of fun. I do a midday drum circle is actually going to be, I think, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is my midday drum circle, and it's at 1:30, also at the Vera Doolin building. And sometimes they get retired folks. Typically, on the middle of the day experiences, I get retired folks or homeschool kids. So it can get really fun. And I do different games that the kids can really get excited about, and it's fun to watch them too. So it's entertaining. Anyway, thank you so much for having me, and I hope you'll check out Fox Island County Park and come visit and participate in some of my programs. And if you're ever interested in volunteering, let me know. I would love to have you. So thank you.
Give a round of applause.